Right now, somewhere, someone is telling you AI started in California, in a garage, maybe with a guy in a hoodie. That's not true. The real story starts in a country that officially called this kind of science a fraud, and then built it anyway, in secret, decades before Silicon Valley even had the word for it. Number 10 is where the story gets weird. Let's begin. Fact 10, the science that wasn't allowed to exist. In the early 1950s, Soviet officials declared cybernetics the entire field that machine learning grows out of a bourgeois pseudoscience. Publications from 1951 to 1955 called it, word for word, an American fraud. Anyone caught taking it seriously wasn't just wrong. They were politically suspect. Imagine being right about the future of technology and having to hide it. Fact 9. The professor who ran an illegal study group. In 1954, while cybernetics was still officially a fraud, mathematician Alexey Lyapunov opened a cybernetics seminar at Moscow State University anyway. Not underground in the dramatic sense. Just quietly, at a public university, teaching the thing his own government had banned. Remember this name. It matters later because the man who built the first Soviet neural network was working in that exact same shadow. Fact 8. The U-turn that took 7 years. Stalin died in 1953. It took until 1961 for the reversal to become official. A collection literally titled Cybernetics in Service of Communism. 7 years between this is a fraud and actually serve the state with it. 7 years. That's the gap between a scientist being investigated and that same scientist being celebrated. Fact 7. Meet the man nobody taught this in school. His name was Alexey Ivakhnenko, working out of the Institute of Cybernetics in Kyiv. And here's what should stop you cold. He was already deep into building perceptron-style machines before the Russian translation of Frank Rosenblatt's foundational American neurodynamics book even reached him. He wasn't copying the West. He got there in parallel, and in some ways, earlier. Fact 6. The book that traveled further than the Cold War. Let It. Ivakhnenko's book, Technical Cybernetics, went through 2 Russian editions, then got translated into English, German, Bulgarian, Polish, and Romanian. In the middle of the Cold War, Soviet AI research was quietly crossing borders nobody expected it to cross. If you're the kind of person who likes finding out the history books, skip to chapter. Hit subscribe, because this whole channel is built on chapters like this one. Fact 5. Before deep learning had a name. In 1967, Ivakhnenko and his colleague V. Lapa published what researchers now recognize as one of the first working deep, multi-layer neural networks trained with supervision. Years before backpropagation, the technique modern AI runs on, was even understood. If you'd shown this to a computer scientist in Palo Alto in 1967, do you think they'd have believed you? Fact 4. The method, with the boring name and the wild result. 1968. Ivakhnenko formalizes something called the Group Method of Data Handling, GMDH. Dry name. What it actually did, automatically built and pruned its own network structure from data, with zero human tuning the architecture by hand. That's a machine designing itself. In 1968. Fact 3. 8 layers. No backprop, no Silicon Valley. Remember Lyapunov's banned seminar? This is where it paid off. By 1971, Ivakhnenko's team was training 8-layer neural networks using a neuron built on something called a Kolmogorov-Gabor polynomial. Not the simple on-off neuron the West was using. 8 layers. In an era when most Western researchers had barely gotten past one, this is the kind of fact that gets buried, redacted, and forgotten. Which, if you've noticed the channel name, is exactly the point. Fact 2. The quiet end of the story. And that's basically where the trail seems to go cold. Ivakhnenko's work stayed mostly inside Soviet and Eastern Bloc journals. The West built its own path. Backpropagation took over in the 80s, and the story of the Soviet deep network almost got lost entirely. Seems like a wrap, right? But that's not even the craziest part. Fact 1, he's still being cited right now. Jürgen Schmidhuber, one of the most respected living deep learning researchers, the man behind foundational work that modern AI is built on, has publicly credited GMDH as one of the first true deep learning systems in history. Not a footnote, a direct citation, decades later, from inside the field that supposedly started in a garage. So the next time someone tells you AI is a 2012 invention, who are you going to believe now? If that changed how you think about where this all really started, that's the whole reason this channel exists. So here's the truth. The machine that's writing your emails, generating your images, maybe even the voice reading this script to you right now. Its ancestors weren't born in a hoodie in California. They were built by a man in Kyiv, working inside a country that once called this exact science a fraud. That's not a footnote. That's the actual timeline. Which one of these 10 surprised you the most? Number 3? Number 1? Drop it below. And if you want more stories, the history books left out on purpose. That's what FACTXED does every single week. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.